Hi, it's Penny, and as usual I'm here to talk about some bookish things. Specifically today I am going to do a tag video. So Kaybeth Creations has created the main character book tag, which is a little bit like How Well Do You Know Your Books challenge that I did a couple of weeks ago, except that this is about the main characters in the books. So there's about 20 different prompts, and I have to try and figure out if I have a book on my shelves that has a main character that meets each of the prompts. So thank you so much, Kaybeth, for tagging me in this. I guess we will see how well I do. Also, I haven't prepared for this tag at all. I'm just gonna read it and see how quickly I can come up with an answer. Normally I prepare, but I decided since it's more like a challenge that I'm not gonna prepare. So the first question is a main character that is adopted, and I know exactly what I'm going to pick up for this one because I just finished reading it, and that is The Cold One by Christopher Pike. This is like a kind of a paranormal mystery kind of story. There are several main characters in this, but I'm thinking of the main guy because everybody is linked in to him. He's quite a significant piece to the plot, and he has been adopted. Next is a main character where both parents are alive and have a presence in the main character's life. Okay, so the first book I saw that on my shelves that I feel fits this criteria. There were a lot where the parents are dead, but in this case I'm thinking about Blue from The Raven Cycle. Obviously she lives with her mother, but her father does come along in this book, I think. And of course you know what The Raven Cycle's about, right? I'm not gonna tell you, so you better know. Next is a main character who has blonde hair, and to be honest, I don't pay a lot of attention to physical descriptions of my characters, mainly because they often come along after I've already imagined the characters. Like as soon as someone walks into a room, I picture them. I'm not a very good reader, am I? Okay, so I'm going to go with Andrea from the Kate Daniels series. So this is Andrea's spin-off book. It actually took me a long time to find because I've rainbowerized my bookshelves, and I have so many with brown spines for some reason. Andrea loves guns, has blonde hair. Next we have a character who has an animal companion. Okay, so I'm not sure where the first book of this series is, but this is the Keeper Chronicles series. This particular one is the Second Summoning, which is the second book. This is a really weird book about these keepers who close portals that open up between different dimensions and stop bad shit from coming through. But there is a talking cat. In fact, I think in this book there's a couple of talking cats, and I love the cats. They're so cat-like and just great companions. Next is a main character who's different from the rest of their family and seen as the odd one out. So I want to go with Nathan from Half Bad because he is a half black, half white witch. So I believe the rest of his family are all white witches who are seen as the good witches, but unfortunately his dad was a black witch. So he's half and half, and that means he doesn't really like to sleep inside. He always hears this horrible noise whenever there's electricity around, and so he's just quite different from the rest of his family, and they don't know how to deal with him. Next we have a main character whose skin has a scar or scarring. So for this we're going to go with Tiger from the Tiger and Dell series. I don't know if you can, it is kind of on this cover, but it's subtle. Basically, Tiger was a slave when he was a young boy until he fought this sand tiger. Sand tigers have these venomous claws, so he got a big scratch down his face. But by fighting the sand tiger and saving his people, he won his freedom. This is a series I really love just because I love chauvinistic, tough guy Tiger running into Dell, who is just so hardcore, and it really changes his perspective on women, which I enjoyed seeing that progress. Next we have a main character who has no clue how to fight. So I felt like it was cheating to go with a contemporary for this one. So instead what I did is I went with Cinder by Marissa Myers, because Cinder is a cyborg, but mostly she does house cleaning and childcare and that fixing things, that kind of thing. She's not a fighter, so she has no clue how to fight. And when conflict starts happening, she has to kind of learn how to do some of that stuff. Next is a main character who has 2 or more best friends. So I'm going to go with Quoth from Name of the Wind, because not only does he have his best friend Bast in the future where he's teaching him magic, he also has quite a few friends when he is in the university back in the time that he's telling the story about. At the beginning he doesn't really have any friends, Although that's not true, he does have his teacher at the beginning. I guess he has quite a few friends over time, but also when he's at the university, he has quite a few close friends that he spends a lot of time with. That one was harder than I expected. Next, we have a main character who suffers from a phobia or phobias. So I'm going to go with Romy from The Loneliest Girl in the Universe. So this is a story where her parents have been sent off in a spaceship to colonize a faraway world, and she is born on the spaceship and then her parents died. So she suffers from quite bad anxiety. So I think that counts. Next is a main character with brown eyes, and honestly, unless someone's eyes are like talked about over and over or it's somehow significant to the plot, I don't really pay attention to eyes. You know, I could tell you in Way of Kings, because in Way of Kings the color of your eyes determines the class that you're in. Oh, brown eyes! Who's got brown eyes? So I've decided to go with Kate Daniels from the Kate Daniels series. It's one of my favorite series. It's the only character where I'm kind of certain that she has brown eyes just because of her family heritage. So brown eyes. Next is a character who is part of the LGBTQ community. So that was sadly harder than I expected to be, because it seems a lot of the books on my shelf, the supporting characters might have LGBTQ rep, but the main characters not so much. But I did find one, and even though I feel like it's kind of spoilers, there were also a couple that I saw on here that do have it, but I didn't feel like it was good rep, so I didn't really want to bring them up. Anyway, this one, it is slightly spoilers, but the main character that this particular book in the Raven Cycle series follows is definitely LGBTQ. Next we have a main character who is cursed. So I'm going to go with Geist by Philippa Ballantyne. So the main character is kind of Sorsha, but it is also told from multiple perspectives, and another one of the main characters is this guy. He's not actually a lion, he's just cursed that sometimes when he gets angry, if he's not over running water, he turns into a lion. I really want to reread this series sometime soon, as if I have time for rereading. Next is a main character who is a prince or a princess. So what I've got is Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. This follows both a prince and the princess that is betrothed to marry him. Next is a book where the main character is a hunter, warrior, or fighter for a living. So I'm going to go with Nyx from the Beldame Apocrypha series. This is the first book, I believe. So Nyx is like a headhunter. Basically, she gets bounties for people who are criminals, and then she goes and kills them, brings back their head in order to make some money. Next is the main character is an out-and-out coward and afraid of the world around them. I don't know if I have any. I don't like cowards. I feel like this is really hard just because cowards don't tend to have very good stories. I can't think of any off the top of my head. So I'm going to pull a book out of my unhaul pile to answer this, and that is Slam by Nick Hornby. This main character is kind of just a loser in my opinion. He gets a girl pregnant and then just kind of runs away from everything and doesn't accept responsibility. What a coward. That's probably not very good, but I think that's the best I can do based on the books on my shelves. Next, a book where the title features the main character's name or is entirely the main character's name. Here we go, and for that I got Strange the Dreamer, because Strange the Dreamer is the main character in Strange the Dreamer, also known as Laszlo Strange, but Strange the Dreamer is what they call him most of the time. Or at least they call him Strange. Next, a main character where at the start of the book or the start of the series they are unaware that they have some kind of powers or inhuman abilities. For this I would go with Rebel of the Sands by Elwyn Hamilton. It is somewhat spoilers, this particular prompt, but turns out the main character has some kind of abilities. And I will say when I got to that part of the book, I found the book way better than I had before that. Next, a main character who is a loner and dislikes being around people. I think that's me. Yeah, that's me. So I'm going to go with a really old one, and that is Thomas Covenant from Thomas Covenant the Unbeliever, Chronicles by Stephen Donaldson. So Thomas Covenant, there are some problems with this book because right at the beginning he does actually, like the main character rapes somebody, and that kind of, even though he feels very guilty and he spends a lot of time trying to make up for that and redeem himself, it's still kind of like, well, did you need to include that? But that said, it is a really amazing fantasy series. There's this amazing world, kind of like Tolkien-esque world building. And our main character, Thomas Covenant, has leprosy. So before he stumbles into this magical world, he's just trying to avoid everybody and stay to himself. He's very grumpy and angry. And even when he kind of stumbles into this magical world, once he realizes that it's not a dream, he's still kind of like, hey, I'm not that great, stay away from me. Definitely an anti-hero, our Mr. Thomas Covenant. Next, a main character who was born in one world and raised in another. This tag will be very hard to do if you don't read fantasy. Okay, so I was trying not to reuse them, but I honestly can't find many options, so I'm going to go with Cinder again. And like most of these, spoilers. And the last question is a main character who is evil. This might be a really hard one. I think the best option on my shelf is Vicious by V.E. Schwab because our main two characters are Eli and Victor, and I think they're both arguably evil, even though they're more grey. Eli at least does some quite evil things, and Victor does some pretty not nice things as well. So even though I love Victor, I think this counts. So I found a main character for every single prompt. I know some of them I did less well than others. I think that's more a criticism of my book collection than my knowledge of my main characters from my books, although I don't think that my knowledge is particularly stellar. Now, I'm never particularly good at tagging people for these kind of videos, so if you're watching this and you would like to do it, then consider yourself tagged, or at least go and check out Kaybeth Creations' original tag video, see how well she did. If you've read any of the books that I've read today, I would love to talk to you about them down in the comments because I have read all of them and I love talking about books. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day and I will see you next time.